Macmillan Audio presents Hades by Candice Fox, read for you by Shanahan. As soon as the stranger set the bundle on the floor, Hades could tell it was the body of a child. It was curled on its side and wrapped in a worn blue sheet secured with duct tape around the neck, waist and knees. One tiny pearl-coloured foot poked out from the hem, limp on his sticky linoleum. Hades leaned against the counter of his cramped, cluttered kitchen and stared at that little foot. The stranger shifted uneasily in the doorway, drew a cigarette from a packet and pulled out some matches. The man they called Hades lifted his eyes briefly to the stranger's thin, angled face. "Don't smoke in my house." The stranger had been told how to get to Hades' place, but not about its bewildering, frightening character. Beyond the iron gates of the Utulla dump, on the ragged edge of the western suburbs, lay a gravel road leading through mountains of trash to a hill that blocked out the sky, black and imposing, guarded by stars. A crown of trees and scrub on top of the hill obscured all view of the small wooden shack. The stranger had driven with painful care past piles of rubbish as high as apartment buildings, crawling with every manner of night creature. Owls, cats and rodents picking and sifting through old milk cartons and bags of rotting meat. Luminescent eyes peered from the cabins of burnt-out car shells and from beneath sheets of twisted, corrugated iron. Farther along the gravel path, the stranger began to encounter a new breed of watchful beast. Creatures made from warped scraps of metal and pieces of discarded machinery lined the road. A broken washing machine beaten and buckled into the figure of a snarling lion. A series of bicycles woven together and curled and stretched into the body of a grazing flamingo. In the light of the moon, the animals with their kitchen utensil feathers and Coke bottle eyes seemed tense and ready. When the stranger entered the house, he was a little relieved to be away from them and their attention. The relief evaporated when he laid eyes on the man they called the Lord of the Underworld. Hades was standing in the corner of the kitchen when the stranger entered, as though he'd known he was coming. He had not moved from there, his furry arms folded over his barreled chest. Cold, heavy-lidded eyes fixed on the bundle in the stranger's arms. There was a Walter PP handgun with a silencer on the untidy counter beside him by a half-empty glass of scotch. Hades' grey hair looked neat atop his thick skull. He was squat and bulky like an ox, power and rage barely contained in the painful closeness of the kitchen. The air inside the little house seemed pressed tight by the trees, a dark dome licking and stroking the hot air through the windows. Hades' kitchen was adorned with things he had salvaged from the dump. Ornate bottles and jars of every conceivable colour hung by fishing line from the ceiling. Strange cutting and slicing implements were nailed like weapons to the walls. There were china fish and pieces of plastic fruit and a stuffed yellow ferret coiled, sleeping in a basket by the foot of the door. Jars of things there seemed no sense in keeping. Coloured marbles and lensless spectacles and bottle caps in their thousands, and lines of dolls' heads along the windowsill, some with eyes and some without, gaping mouths smiling, howling, crying. Through the door to the tiny living room, a wall crammed with tattered paperbacks was visible, the books lying and standing in every position from the unpolished floorboards to the mould-spotted ceiling. The stranger writhed in the silence. Wanted to look at everything, but afraid of what he might see. Night birds moaned in the trees outside the mismatched stained glass windows. "Do you, The stranger worked the back of his neck with his fingernails. "Do you want me to go out and get the other one?" Hades said nothing for a long time. His eyes were locked on the body of the child in the worn blue sheet. "Tell me how this happened." The stranger felt new sweat tickle at his temples. "Look."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?